Hello, mind readers. And so we're back for another lovely evening of Reader's Aside. Another classic edition of Reader's Aside. Tonight we will be reading from a book titled "The Gateless Barrier: Zen Comments on the Mumonkan." Damn it! Tried to say that fucking fluidly. Oh my god! Here we go. Mumonkan. I'm like damn sure it's pronounced that way. Mumonkan. You know how I know actually? Because I had guessed it was pronounced that way, and then yesterday, I was planning to do this yesterday. So yesterday, not wanting to look like a complete fool, I did go online and on YouTube, and I looked up like some Buddhist monk saying the word, and he said Mumonkan. I was like, yes! Fucking did my fist pump. I was like, that's what I did. That's what I had. That's what I've been saying. And then, you know what? I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. It would have made me seem smarter. Whatever. Alright. So, yes, the Gateless Barrier. Zen Comments on the Mumonkan. Mumonkan. Was it Mumonkan or Mumonkan? Yes. Mumonkan. The Mumonkan. It's the Mumonkan. Mumonkan. Yeah, okay. Mumonkan. And this is it's basically kind of like a compilation. And this edition has been put together by, okay, I'm gonna brutalize the guy's first name at least. Zenki Shibayama, who was I think like a monk from the 20th century. Yes. Born 1908, died 1974. And so it's basically like a book within a book here. So you have the ancient book by the monk Mumon, right? Hence the name Zen Comments on the Mumonkan. Like this book is called the Mumonkan because it's an old book of this Buddhist monk from like the classical or the golden age of Zen Buddhism, from like maybe 1400 to 800 years ago, some shit like that, like roughly. And it's basically just a collection that he put together of old what they call koans or koans. They're like almost like Buddhist parables. And then so this is how a chapter goes. There's 48 chapters, 48 of these koans. Each koan gets his own chapter. So at the beginning of the chapter there is the koan, and then there is Mumon's commentary on it, and then there's also a poem from Mumon. Mumon wrote a poem for each koan, and then that's where our guy Shibayama, the 20th century monk, comes in, which is what most of the text is that it's basically like his thoughts, which they call a teisho, Teisosho. I've been saying teisho. It's kind of just like an analysis, I guess. And so he does a teisho, and I'm just going to say analysis. He does an analysis on each one of those first three segments of the chapter: the koan, Mumon's commentary, and then Mumon's poem. So it's got basically 6 different parts to each chapter. That's the book, right? That's the book. I thought I'd try to explain this first. Feel like I did a decent job of it. I know it took 4 minutes, so I'm just going to get right into it. But I felt that actually went fairly well. Alright, so the title of this koan, this chapter, is Joshu Saw Through the Old Woman. Readers aside. Joshu is fucking Joshu seems to be one of like the main dudes. He's come up like 3 or 4 times now. He's like the main character in several of these koans, is what I'm saying. He pops up a lot. I think he was in the first one. Joshu. That's a fucking wild name too. Joshu. Anyways, yes. Okay. Joshu. Readers aside. Joshu saw through the old woman. Koan. A monk asked an old woman, "Which way should I take to Mount Gotei?" Readers aside. Um, so there's quite a few number of like old Chinese or maybe Japanese words that well they're not, I guess they're not Japanese words or Chinese words anymore. They're in English, but it's a translation of the Chinese language. Yes, they understand that. I understand that. There is no they. There's just I. We're not trans. We're not calling ourselves they. There is no greater audience. It's just us. There could be a greater audience at some point. You know what? That's just right. Let's just act as if there were. But what if I want to listen to it? Then I'm calling myself they. Or no, wait, what? How about I can do both, and you stop fucking bugging me about it every time you feel you don't, like, you get offended or some shit. Like, what are you offended about? Why are we fucking arguing with ourselves? Yeah. You know what? Just don't. Just let it go. Just let it go. It's not important. Okay. You know what? I think those couple handfuls of chop I ate earlier have like just kicked in right now. I can feel it in my face. But we're gonna get through this. I promise. At least most of it, probably. I think so. Right. So Mount Gote. I'm just gonna say Gote. Right. That's what I got upset about too. I can't fucking look. If I sound dumb trying to say some of these words, it's your fault for fucking being so judgmental. How about you try fucking saying them too, fucking dick? Get off my back, you bastards. And readers aside. A monk asked an old woman, "Which way should I take to Mount Gotei?" Which just doesn't sound right. Fuck. Go. Readers aside. Okay. Gotei. 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 I'm saying Gotei. Gotay. Or not Y I. Gotai. Gotei. I'm saying Gotei. Mount Gotei. And readers aside. The old woman said, "Go straight on." When the monk had taken a few steps, she remarked, "He may look like a fine monk, but he goes too off like that." Oh shit, sorry. He may look like a fine monk, but he too goes off like that. Later, a monk told Joshu about it. Joshu said, "Wait a while. I will go and see through that old woman for you." The next day, off he went and asked her the same question. The old woman, too, gave him the same reply. When he returned, Joshu announced to the monks, I have seen through the old woman of Mount Gotei for you." And readers aside. So that's the end of the koan. They're often not exactly obvious in their meaning, but that's why that's why we've got commentary from two different monks here coming up. So that's so that you found that confusing. I think it's supposed to be. I'm confused by it too. We all are. But Mumon wasn't confused by it, and neither was Shibayama. So let's get to their thoughts here. And to readers aside, Mumon's commentary. Readers aside. Maybe I should actually maybe forewarn. Mumon's commentary is sometimes not altogether different than the koan. It's sometimes kind of confusing too. He's got kind of a way of talking. He must have been a very sarcastic man. I just imagine, anyways. He was probably hilarious, but all right. Okay, so interviews aside, Mumon's commentary. The old woman knew how to work out a strategy and win the victory while sitting in her tent. Yet she is not aware of the bandits stealing into the tent. Old Joshu is skillful enough to creep into the enemy's camp and menace their fortress. Yet he does not look like a grown-up. Upon close examination, they are both at fault. Now tell me, how did Joshu see through the old woman? Readers aside. So that's the end of Mumon's commentary. You see what I mean? His commentary is to end up with asking us a question. Like basically the same question. Like, I thought you were just supposed to make that clear, buddy. See, what I think what they do is they try to kind of sort of like stimulate your it's as if they try to like stimulate your mind by irritating you with almost like insults almost. I think that's one of their strategies. I will say over the course I've been reading this book for like over a year, like just doing like one chapter every now and then. I do feel like I'm getting a little bit easier to comprehend some of these. It does feel like it's getting better. However, I do feel like these guys deliberately try to irritate people. Their students, like being one of their students, it would be you would be irritated, and basically they're probably just trying to like weed people out. If you can't take it, like, get the fuck out. There's a lot of violence too. Like there's a lot of hitting with sticks, even if you like chopping off of fingers, to inspire some dude into like his final enlightenment. Like seriously, like chopping off his fingers and shit. And then they're just like thankful afterwards. That guy, see? Oh, it's hilarious. I think that this would like I would enjoy irritating people too, with smack them with sticks. I think I could be one of these monks. I wouldn't really want to have my fingers chopped off, but I feel like it wouldn't get to that point with me. Obviously, I'm not such a moral reprobate, or I'm not so dull in the mind, I don't think. How long is this going to take us to go through all this? It's going to take a while. We probably won't get through all of it. It's only really a few chapters. A few pages for this chapter. But as you can see, I anticipated this was probably going to be a troublesome book for readers aside. But I like to take on anything, any challenge. Anything. Regardless of any misgivings I may have. I sometimes I have misgivings. I misgive about stuff like that. What the fuck? What is a misgiving? Like, what in the fuck is that? You misgive? I have misgivings? Like, what does that even fucking mean? I got misgivings about misgivings. I got misgivings about saying the fucking word misgivings. Because can I say I misgave? I fucking misgave for a while about that. And fucking Charlie over there he misgived too. He misgived over to me about his misgivings. Fucking Miscavige. Or no, that's a name. Anyways. Alright, so I'm gonna try to get back on track here. I'm just massively chuffed, I think. End of Reader's Aside. Mumon's poem. The question is the same each time. The answer too is the same. In the rice there is sand. In the mud there are thorns. Reader's Aside. That's the poem. It's way more confusing than the koan. So that's that. So that's now we've gone through the koan and Master Mumon's pinprick in the eyeball from like 10 centuries ago. But he's still just fucking. He's still just digging into people. Like a millennium later, he's still just digging into people with his words. I bet he knew. I bet he knew he would. Like, why else would you write it down? It's so irritating. Imagine writing down like spiritual, religious instruction for people that's going to be kept for centuries, and you're just like irritatingly vague. Yeah, I've been enjoying this book actually. So now we get into the first of the final three segments, which is Master Shibayama's thoughts on all of we just read, and he actually counterweights Mumon and does fairly lengthy and very good explanations, or teishos as they call it. So let's get at least some of him in here, because I doubt I'm going to really want to do this whole thing. Well, it's actually not that long. Maybe if I shut the fuck up. Alright. How long have we been going here? 15 minutes? Well, there really is no time limit, so. And the readers aside. Teisho on the koan. Readers aside. I just realized like the fan is blaring like full blast right behind me. So if that's affecting something, I'm aware of it, and it wasn't a mistake, and I don't really give a shit. So, end of readers aside. Teisho on the koan. The central figure of this koan is again the famous master Joshu. Who has already appeared several times. Yeah. In previous koan. So no introduction is needed here. Another leading figure is an old woman who cannot be historically identified. It is very likely, however, that in those days when Zen flourished, most in China, there were some old women who had fully studied Zen, such as the old woman of the tea house who had Mondo with Master Tokusan, as told in the 28th koan, readers aside. Mondo, as far from what I can understand, just means like conversation. I like the word. They had Mondo. It's pretty cool. And to readers aside. Mount Gote, mentioned here, is a holy mountain in the northeastern part of present Sensei Shou in China. A holy mountain because it has been regarded as the abode of Manjusri of Manjusri. A holy mountain because it has been regarded as the abode of Manjusri. Readers aside, what is that? What is Manjusri? Manjusri. One word. Manjusri. Like, I'm kind of looking ahead here and it doesn't seem to be fucking explaining what Manjusri is. Is that a person? Come on, Shibayama. Whatever. End of readers aside. Manjusri. From ancient times, former monks have lived on in this mountain, and Buddhists of all kinds, as well as monks in training, have made pilgrimages to it. An old woman lived near Mount Gote, probably running a small tea house by the roadside. Whenever a traveling monk asked her, "Which way should I take to Mount Gote?" she would answer, "Go straight on." She would not tell him to go either east or west. Seeing the traveling monk take a few steps forward, she would scoff at him, saying, "This monk again. He may look like a fine monk, but what an awkward figure he cuts." For a sincere truth seeker, where could the way to Mount Gote be? The way to Mount Gote is the way of Zen. Is the way to Zen. It is the way to the fundamental truth, and it has to be the way of him to himself, his true self. And it has to be the way to himself, his true self. What is the use of looking for it outwardly, away from his very self here and now? It is an old saying that all roads lead to Rome, also that the Great Way leads to Chang'an. Never heard that. Readers aside, I never heard that before. And readers aside. There is no argument about east or west, right or left, time or space, for it is the one Sakyamuni taught Ananda. The truth is in all directions. Straight is the way to Nirvana. Going astray from this inner way, which is deep in himself, the traveling monk starts wandering along blindly, following the superficial meaning of the old woman's words. She could not help scoffing at him sadly. He may look like a fine monk, but he too goes off like that. As this mondo between the old woman and a monk took place repeatedly, a report spread around, and one day Master Joshu heard it from a monk. Joshu says, "Wait a while. I will go and see through that old woman for you." The next day he equipped himself for a trip, and off he went, determined to see through her. Before long he came to her place and asked her, just as all the rest had, "Which way should I take to Mount Gote?" The old woman too replied in exactly the same manner. Go straight on. As Master Joshu went a few steps on, the old woman remarked as usual, he may look like a fine monk, but he too goes off like that. Readers aside, that is an odd fucking thing to say. That happens a lot in this book. But he too goes off like that. Like it feels like it's, that would, like, and they're all annoyed by it too, eh? That would annoy something. She says it while they're still within earshot. And the readers aside. In other words, exactly the same mondo was exchanged between the two as on all the previous occasions. On his return to the monastery, Master Joshu gathered all the disciples and confidently announced, I have clearly seen through that old woman on the road to Mount Gote for you. He declared to his disciples that he did see through the old woman, but he did not say how he had done it, made no detailed report, which naturally gives rise to various arguments and speculations. Although Master Joshu himself did go over to the old woman's place on the mount, on the way to Mount Gote, and did personally exchange mondo with her, he spoke and acted exactly as the rest of the monks had. The old woman also spoke and acted as the rest of the monks had. The old woman also spoke and acted exactly as she had before. Chuffed. There was nothing whatsoever that was different or special, except that she was chuffed. No, I'm just kidding, sorry. Nevertheless, Master Joshu declares, on his return to the monastery, I have seen through the old woman of Mount Gote for you. Did he in fact see through her or not? If he did, how did he see through her? What kind of fact are you talking about when you say that Joshu saw through her? Unless you open your Zen eye on this ultimate point, you are not able to stand beside Joshu, nor can you get the real significance of the koan. Master Bokitsu of Isan, commenting on this koan, all the monks in the world only knew how to ask the old woman the way to Mount Gote, and did not realize what vital significance is involved in the question. If it were not for old Joshu, how could we expect such great success? All the monks ask the old woman the way, and are busy looking for it outside themselves. They are not aware that the real problem is in themselves. It takes a true and capable Zen man like old Joshu to achieve such an incomparable success. Master Bokitsu is thus highly praising Master Joshu, yet he does not state at all how. In fact, Joshu saw through the old woman. Let me ask you, my students, what is the old woman? What does he mean by seeing through her? An old Zen master asked, how can water drench water? How can gold be changed into gold? Be water through and through, be gold through and through. In the all-pervading seeing through, how can there be Joshu or the old woman? The whole universe has just been seen through. Read it aside. So that ends Shibayama's Teisho on the koan. There's actually not that much left here. However, we'll keep reading. Fuck it. Teisho on Mumon's commentary. We'll see. We'll see if we get done here. Right. Okay. The old woman knew how to work out a strategy and win the victory while sitting in her tent. Yet she is not aware of the bandit stealing into the tent. Old Joshu is skillful enough to creep into the enemy's camp and menace their fortress. Yet he does not look like a grown-up. Upon close examination, they are both at fault. Now tell me, how did Joshu see through the old woman? In commenting on the old woman, Master Mumon quotes the Chinese saying, making a plan of operations within the tent he wins a victory on the battlefield 1,000 miles away. This is how a great general fights. This old woman, too, Master Mumon comments, has a wonderful ability like that of a great general who leads to victory at a far distant front, while he himself is sitting in the tent and working out his strategy at his table. Capable as she is, she does not seem to know that a thief has stolen right into her own room. In other words, Mumon criticizes the old woman. Dear old woman, you make quite shrewd remarks like go straight on, or he may look like a fine monk, but he too goes off like that. Yet your secret hand is all known to me. Why Master Mumon so criticizes the old woman when he treated... Why does Master Mumon so criticize the old woman when he treated Joshu in exactly the same way he treated the other monks? When she treated Joshu in exactly the same way she treated that... Why does Master Mumon so criticize the old woman when she treated Joshu in exactly the same way she treated the other monks? Master Hakuin's comment on this koan is famous. You all understand that Joshu has seen through the old woman. Readers aside. Yeah, okay, no. I guess I have. I was about to refute that, because you know what, I've just got faith in Joshu that he does, because as was mentioned, Joshu comes up a lot, so he's got legitimacy. Joshu's legit. I do understand that he is seen through. I don't quite understand the way it just explained the seen through part, didn't it? Let's go back a chapter or a page. Didn't it just talk about the seen through? Yet he does not state at all, in fact, how he saw through it. What does he mean by seeing through? Oh, all right. How can there be Joshu and the old woman there? That actually was kind of confusing. So basically, the seeing through part is like he just sees through the distinction between like her person and his own person, is they're all, you know, of the same universe, I guess. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to help all of us out with trying to understand it myself, which helps everyone, I think. Obviously, it helps the listener, helps the viewer. I mean, it helps the viewer as they listen and view things in their mind. I gotta stop really saying that. I have to explain it every single time I do it. It's you know what? I thought it would catch on, but there's no one for it to catch on to, so that's a kind of dumb thing to say. So now I'm just kind of rambling on about my own shit. I got kind of distracted here, and so I think the answer was that the answer was no. I couldn't get through it. Where we couldn't get through it. It's not all my fault. It's partly the audience. There you go. The audience. You're the audience. It's partly the audience's fault for not being persons that I respect, like Joshu. Like I've read plenty of things that Joshu has said from this book, and Joshu's smart, but the audience, like you, obviously, like, you know, not everyone can have a reputation like Joshu. So I just have to kind of my own accord, of my own, I have to take it upon myself to make sure that that you're not just like hearing riddles and shit. So I have to figure it out for myself too, which can be a task, right? So obviously, I don't want to. Let's cap it here. Actually, right? That's what I was about to say. I don't want to overload people with too much. I don't want to overload myself. I particularly don't want to overload other people, even if I've loaded myself properly, because then you're just talking to the air, because no one understands what you're saying, and I imagine that probably happens with the good most of the audience. They just don't get it, and that's not my fault. It's probably their parents' fault actually, but it would be my fault if I didn't if I overloaded. If I overloaded, that would be my fault. But I don't overload, and so I just kind of like I feel like it's you're stupid, not me. So the other stuff applies. This has nothing to do with me. So, all right, then. That's all for today, and please mind your own business. Fuck off.